There are a lot of things in life that you cannot control. Emergencies happen, prices rise, and the market can go all over the place. But there are things that you can do to take control of your money. So today on Talking Sense, we're going to be covering some of those things that you can do and talking through how you can take the reins on your financial journey. And I've brought Alec Darrell from our Conway office to join me today in this conversation. So thank you, Alec, for joining us.
Of course.
You've been on our team for a while now, and you've learned, probably like me, a lot of things that even with your finance degree, you're going, man, I wish I'd have known that sooner. Do you find that, or am I crazy?
Yeah, no, I do. There are things that I wish I knew sooner. For example, I have friends who had a Roth when they were 18 years old. Mm-hmm. I didn't even know what a Roth was when I was 18 years old.
Yeah.
And, we always talk about saving and the compound interest in the market and how, 5 years makes a huge difference, or investing 10 years earlier makes a huge difference. And that's one thing. I didn't open my Roth till I got out of college and started working. But if I would have known, I wouldn't get my paycheck that I had for my little side hustle in college and go spend all of it on a dirt bike or go buy something.
Eat it all. Let's be real.
Yeah, eat it all. I would have saved it. So there are some things that I just wish I had knowledge about back then. But now working at a financial advising company, it's pretty tough to not get involved and get on the right path.
Yeah, I think it's in your face every day. And I think that's part of why we started this show is there are a lot of stories we hear, and I'm one of them. I mean, you're in your 20s and you know these things. I learned them in my mid 30s. So you're still ahead of me, for what it's worth. And you don't have 13 children, so that helps as well. But when we were talking about the studies that we've seen about the education, the lack thereof when it comes to financial matters, that's what started the show. So we hope that we can give you something today that you can go, man, I'm glad I learned that, and I'm going to apply that to my journey. So we've got a few different things you can do to take control of your money. First thing is to grow your investments and your income potential. So you can't really control the markets. We can't either, but you can control how much you're saving in the markets. Your most powerful positive indicator of success when it comes to wealth accumulation is your consistency. If you're consistently putting in, that is really the best sign of future success, in my opinion, from what I've observed. The people that I have who are my higher net worth clients typically didn't live some sort of crazy life. They just were consistent. They didn't have super high paying jobs, but they were consistent with what they did have. So that to me would be the first thing, your contribution rate. Now, as far as your income potential, you alluded to this, right? You said you had a side hustle.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, I think, may not have control over their specific pay when it comes to a job. Unless you have some sort of commission piece to your income, you don't have just a ton of control over that, but you could have a side hustle. So there are things that you can do for short periods of time or long periods of time to increase your income potential.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people who are working the 9 to 5, which is most people, they're not business owners. They can't really control their income. They're typically on a salary. They're not commission based. So it can feel like you don't have a lot of control over your income. But what are you doing during your 5 to 9? That's one thing. You can make money in other areas. For example, if you're in marketing and you're making videos for a company, you can go shoot weddings on the weekend, or you can go do other things that still fall in your line of business to make more money and increase your income. So I think that's one way that you can do it, as well as getting more license or maybe getting your master's. Companies will pay you more if you have your master's or have another degree, and some companies will even pay for you to get that degree. I have friends who work at Walmart up in Northwest Arkansas, and Walmart's paying for them to go get their master's at Walton College of Business. So it's a little
it's
bit
still
of a conflict
usable.
of interest. But yeah, it's not like that only helps you at Walmart. And for us here, we have employees here who maybe have been doing a job at the front desk, and they're like, hey, I kind of want to, grow and become an advisor, and they're studying to get licensed right now. So I think there's a lot of different ways you can increase your earning potential, as well as just start making more money now.
And on the flip side, all of us have waste. For me, food is probably the biggest source of waste in my budget when it comes to maybe I didn't plan well and we have to eat out instead of being able to cook at home. So even if you can't control your income, often there are expenses that if you needed to, even for a 3-month period, cut those to help yourself be in a better position, it certainly would be worth it. So that's the first thing, is focusing on savings, focusing on your income potential and looking for opportunities there. The other thing you can do to really take control of your money is protect your family, lifestyle, and property. Insurance is one of those things that I think people can sometimes leave off the table, but there's really 4 ways to handle risk when it comes to all risk. Okay. And I want you to talk through those a little bit for us, Alec, about the 4 different ways we can deal with risk. And then we're going to talk about some things within each of those that you can do.
Yeah. So the first thing you can do, you can assume that something is going to happen. You can prepare for it. And the way to do that would be through an emergency fund. It's like self-insuring. There's not an insurance policy for if, your hot water heater goes out or you lose a tire. Maybe there is if you get like an extra protection package, but typically just having an emergency fund is a good way to plan for that risk. Another way, you can eliminate risk. So how do
some risks for sure.
Some risks. For example, if you like to drink, don't drink and drive, because that can, lead to bad things happening, can cause you to hurt someone, hurt yourself, wreck your car. So just eliminating areas where you may be at risk.
Yeah. And in your home, that might be taking care of maintenance so that you don't have a major maintenance issue. If you do, for instance, I have a HVAC system in my house. We maintain it twice a year to make sure that it lasts as long as possible. So that's one of the ways that we're eliminating that short-term risk there.
Another way, this is very similar to eliminating, but reducing or avoiding. That could be just wearing a seatbelt, driving safely, or not participating in high-risky behaviors. So if you're kind of an adrenaline junkie, maybe if you want to go skydiving, maybe you have a life insurance policy or something if you're dead set on it, if you have a family. But, if you got a wife and kids, you may not want to go skydiving or go hit the big jump on your mountain bike. You may want to avoid some of that stuff.
Yeah.
But if you decide that you're the kind of person, I'm going to go live my life on the edge, then the final way to deal with risk is to transfer risk. So that would be getting a life insurance policy, home policy, auto, disability, long-term care.
Everybody transfers risk to some degree in their lives. We all hopefully have auto insurance if we're driving. Most of us are going to have access to health insurance. Having the proper life insurance is really important. But all of us, when it comes to risk, we're either assuming it, eliminating it, reducing it, or transferring it. Those are the only options you have, because risk is there. We are all going to experience risk in different ways throughout our life. But when it comes to the areas of our life, what we can do is, when possible, transfer that risk to someone else. So, if you're not currently carrying life insurance and you have, especially if you have children or a spouse, you have expenses like debts, make sure that you've got the proper coverage, not just to take care of debt, but to take care of your family or your family's needs once you're no longer here. So we've said, paying attention to your savings, making sure you've got your income in the right proportion, protecting your family. Another thing you can do to take control of your financial journey is give to people and causes that are most important to you. I find with my clients, the biggest givers are usually the ones that actually have the best financial, stability too. And it's not necessarily because they have excess. It's been their habit all along. I think they have a healthy relationship with money, and I think that's the biggest piece of it.
Yeah, research says that those who give more typically have more money, which I don't know if that's a coincidence or if it's highly correlated. Yeah, I don't know, but that is true. And there's different ways to give. You can give to charities, church, but I think as long as you're giving something that's important to you, that's what's really important. And you're right. Whenever you've got that habit of giving, you probably have that habit of saving, and you're not so materialistic and focused on your money. You just realize this is a tool that can help, or it can hurt also in some instances.
Yeah, and I think too, when you're giving to causes, it's building a legacy beyond yourself. And when you're thinking forward, it affects other parts of your life. So, making sure that you've got some margin in your budget for that, I think is really healthy. every major religion has talked about the benefits of generosity, regardless of which one you're talking about. But also, let's say you are in that stage of life where assets are tight, because I am certainly in that stage of life. And I do have some things that I'm giving to, but a bigger piece of that may be that you give of your time and your gifts. It may be that you use your gifts to bless others around you, and that's how you find fulfillment. But it's about having a healthy relationship with your money regardless. So, help someone in need around you. Find people who maybe, if you are more successful, maybe you're that person who started the Roth at 18, make sure those around you that you can mentor also know that they have that option once they have earned income at 16, and help them understand these concepts that maybe you learned sooner, because that's really what we're all here for, in my opinion, is to help the next generation grow better. But, I'm maybe a little weird about that. Another option, if you are financially blessed and you have children, there are 529 plans. I have been very blessed. My kids have been blessed. Their aunt and uncle started a 529 plan for them when they were babies. And they've, every year for birthday and Christmas, they put a little money in there, and that will be a blessing to my kids when they start college. One of them starts this fall, and then the other one will start in a couple of years. So, it may be that you've got nieces or nephews or family friends that you want to bless, but be actively looking for opportunities to give really is the bigger concept here. And then the last thing, we're talking about taking control of your money, is living confidently and chasing that financial independence. Let me be clear here. I didn't say chase wealth. I said financial independence. Financial independence is when you have enough income generating assets to work because you want to, not because you have to. That is, to me, a fantastic goal, to say, okay, I don't necessarily want to retire, because for me, that is something like the thought of retirement feels so distant to me. But it would be really awesome to be working because I want to, not because I have to.
I agree. I think working because you want to, and I guess that really depends on what kind of job it is as well. It's usually going to be a job you want to work, but financial independence, it is different for everyone. For one person, it could be $500,000. For one person, it could be $3 million. But you're right, having that choice of, do I want to keep working or do I absolutely have to? It's a nice feeling knowing that, I just do this because I like it, and I have the money that I don't need to work, but I'm here because I like it. And, just because you're not there yet, that's okay, because the people who are there, they weren't there at one point.
Yeah,
so
they didn't start there.
Exactly. Jeff Bezos, he was building Amazon in a basement or in a garage at one point. Just
crazy to think.
Yeah. And now he's, I don't know, a trillionaire. I don't know how much money he has. Probably just multi-billionaire, but
I know I give him a lot of money.
Yeah.
So who knows?
He's got a lot of money. Now, we're not saying everyone out there will be Jeff Bezos, but the idea is you got to start somewhere, and knowing you're on the right track, that's the best mental piece to have, is knowing I'm getting there and I'm making the actionable steps to reach financial independence.
Yeah. And by applying purpose to every dollar that comes in, that can be maybe a starting point for you, is to say, okay, from this point forward, before I get my paycheck, I'm going to designate where it goes so that I'm controlling my money and my money's not just slipping through my fingers. So maybe that's the first step for you, is to just really get your budget managed and make sure you're aware of your expenses and tracking those properly so that you can make progress towards your financial independence. Well, it's time for our last 2 cents. Alec, I'm going to let you go first.
All right. Well, my 2 cents, I would say one of the common things through this podcast has been control what you can control. And I think also to add on that, don't worry about what you can't control. So if I'm saying, well, I'm not making enough money, or I don't have enough money in my bank account, instead of just focusing on stuff that you maybe can't control, sit down, look at, what can I do right now? What are my current action steps that I know I can control? And work on those, even if it's little bitty things like a budget, or eating in instead of eating out as much, or getting that side hustle. Those are things you can control. So I think write those down, focus on them, and work on them.
Yeah, and if you'd like some help figuring out what those are, we do have a printable document that you can take and kind of see where you stand. It's called the 6 Keys to Financial Independence. You can visit getreadyforthefuture.com/keys, or you can text the word keys to 501-381-5228. Again, that's 501-381-5228. 8. Thank you guys so much for joining us today on Talking Sense. If you like this content, make sure you like and subscribe so you can get notified each week when our new content drops. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to Talking Sense. And if you like what you hear, make sure and subscribe to the podcast to get all the newest episodes. The Jim Wealth team is available to you 24/7 at info@getreadyforthefuture.com or by calling our offices at 866-653-PLAN. That's 866-653-7526. And while we like to have fun here, we're also financial advisors, and that means disclosures. You should personally consult a financial advisor before making any investment, and no strategy can assure success. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Independent Advisor Alliance. Independent Advisor Alliance and Jim Wealth Financial Advisors are separate entities from LPL Financial.